across the UK. Afternoons with Rob Rinder on Talk Radio.
I'm going to be back in a moment with Wine Down Friday after the break. I'm going to be drinking wine. You know, this is a job and I'm going to be drinking wine. I've never been happier. This is Rob Rinder on Talk Radio and on Talk Radio TV, and I'm going to be here till 4 o'clock drinking. Join me. It's going to be a laugh.
Across the UK, online, on DAB, and on your smart speaker. Afternoons with Rob Rinder on Talk Radio.
Good afternoon. It's 3:30. It's Rob Rinder on Talk Radio and on Talk Radio TV, and in some parts of the world, particularly here, it's also known when it's 3:34 and 25 seconds as Wine O'Clock. It's Wine Down Friday, so I feel like Dream of Jeannie. Those a bit my age and a bit older will know what that is, but let's just pause for a second as we head, you ready for this, to the bar. It didn't work. Oh, come on. Oh, there it is. There it is. What a bar. Goodness me, that's marvellous technology. I feel like I've died and woken up in prisoner cell block H. Well done, but he got there in the end. Thank you to my wonderful producer, Ryan. We are now in a bar. I'm not sure what bar it is because it's serving rather splendid wine, and I've got sommelier, wine expert Christopher Cooper here, who is a wine presenter and director at Drinkonomics Productions, and you're here, and we're going to be tasting. Now, I need to warn you, Christopher, I said this the other day. Prepare yourself. I really like red wine because I feel like it's sort of slightly easier to understand. Right. But I don't like any form of pretension. For me, an ounce of pretension is worth a bucket load of horse poo.
Well, let's just pour all the pretension down the sink, shall we?
Good stuff. Also, I have been on a few wine courses.
Oh, gosh.
I say the wine courses. I'm overstating my case. I mean, it's sort of a day. And on the second one, the woman looked at me. And the only time I've seen a face like this, Christopher, was on my second, I did 5, by the way, my second driving test. And the woman driving examiner, now, just to be clear, she was wearing a grey corduroy skirt, which I considered to be a provocation.
Right.
I was never going to pass after that point. Well, you know who you are. It was a long time ago. But she'd sort of gone peritonitis grey.
Oh, gosh.
And halfway through the course, she said to me, are you trying to kill us both? Same look on the wine teacher. She asked me whether my tongue was made of asbestos because I couldn't taste any of the stuff. So you've got an uphill struggle. We're going to try 2 wines in this section. Now, Christopher, you're going to serve them.
Okay.
We are all, in case you're worried at home, I don't think our audience will be, but we are all COVID friendly. What are we going to try?
We're tasting some really interesting wines today. And the wines from Georgia are really up and coming at the moment. And Georgia, Tbilisi, that's correct. So the wines from Georgia are very much up and coming, and they are one of the oldest wine producers in the world. They've been making wines for centuries, but really we don't see very much of them coming here into the UK until very recently.
Oh, really?
We're seeing a little bit more of a resurgence coming into the UK now, and they're becoming more and more widely available in different stores and shops. So it's a really good time to be able to
There's a Georgian restaurant near my house. It's rather splendid. I think called Tbilisi, giving them a shout out. Lovely food. I didn't know that they're a great big wine making.
They're a massive wine, and they're becoming quite a destination for places to go to as a bit of a wine mecca to go and visit. You know, so it's it's a really great place to go to. But the wines themselves, we're tasting 4 white wines today, so 2 in this particular section, 2 a bit later.
Right.
And the first one that we're going to be trying is a white wine from a company called Orgo. And this wine is from Vinoteca Wine, so Vinoteca in the city.
I've seen them.
So you're more than welcome to pop into their wine shops and go and buy those.
Now that's in London. What if I'm not posh and don't live in London? I want to get my hands on this wine. What do I do?
You would be able to buy from Vinoteca online and get it sent direct to your home, which is
now
available.
Help me out here, because I know we've got a very sophisticated audience, but I always channel Gilly Goulden, and I remember her from the Food and Drinks days and putting her nose in her going, oh, cheeky little number. Smells like, I can smell the meadows and that sort of thing.
That's right.
What should we do? I mean, these are rubbish glasses, of course. I blame Ryan, my producer. Ryan, you're getting married soon. You're going to get a bit sophisticated. These are terrible wine glasses. Anyway, we'll talk about that after the show. Right. What should we do?
So obviously, with regular wine tasting, one wants to just stick one's nose in and have a bit of a smell. See what you think. You know, stick your really nose in, have a really good swirl around. And
sort of fruity.
Yeah. It smells quite a lot. You know, sometimes wines don't smell of anything. and sometimes they really jump out at you into your nose.
Is there anything wrong? I mean, is there a wrong answer? I mean, have you like me sort of gone, it smells like this, and you're sort of thinking no? Because I'm a bit worried you got a face on like the benevolent headmistress of a school for idiots.
There's not really. There are right and wrong answers. You can't pick it up and say it smells like and tastes like red wine, because quite clearly it's white wine. But when it comes to actually tasting, there are no real wrong answers, because we're all individuals, and we all have a different back catalogue of history that we have tasted before. Yeah. So you may not have tasted lychee before in your life. You may not have had a lychee, but I may have, and I may be able to tell you that it tastes like lychees or pineapple or whatever it might be.
Onto the tasting. So what year is this, and where is it from? Remind us.
So this particular wine is 2018. This is from Orgo, and this is their Cuvée White. And it is £16.50 from Vinoteca stores. So obviously they've got one in the city, they've got one at St Pancras, and a number of others. Yeah. Now feel free to do the silly slurpy thing, just like I do.
And listen, one thing you don't have to worry about, Christopher, is that I will be swallowing.
Well, no, we're not spitting, don't worry, that's fine.
No, we are not. Okay.
I didn't want to ruin this lovely carpet, Now, I'm going to tell you that this wine is... Oh, I can see that face.
I mean, it's all right. I mean, just sort of...
Well, you are a red wine chap, though, aren't you, really?
I am. I sort of feel like it's more complex, easier to reach. Does that make sense to you?
It is. It's quite full-bodied, I would say. There's a lot going on. It's very busy in the palate.
Well, let's have another see whether this is busy. How?
So the actual sort of terminology...
It's nice. I mean,
there we go. It's nice.
It's nice.
Yes.
I mean, I could sort of... Yeah. But in terms of sort of... discerning it from, let's say, a kind of a Masson sort of French wine, it doesn't feel that different to me.
Well, exactly. I would say it's obviously got the history and the heritage behind it, and they've been making wines for years and years and years in Georgia. But these particular wines, they're using local grape varietals, so we're looking at sort of really unpronounceable grapes. So grapes
I love a bit. I speak Russian.
There we are.
Georgian, but I'm gonna see. That's your worst nightmare. Okay, it's an unpronounceable grape. Go on, Christopher.
Okay, here we go. Okay, so there's three grapes that go into this particular one. Kisi, which is the really easy one.
Yes.
Rakatsitseli, which is the middle grape. It's a little bit more unusual.
Yes.
And the third one is Mtsvani.
Mtsvani. Okay, well...
So there's a blend of the three local grape varietals, but you end up with a wine that tastes similar to a Chardonnay, if you like, but a little bit more complex and a little bit more sort of earthy towards the finish, shall we say.
Chardonnay got a bit of an oaky quality to it.
Chardonnay can have a certain amount of oak, and this particular wine has spent 4 months in stainless steel to mature, and then it's obviously had 4 months on its lees. Now what that means is basically it spent its time, 4 months, in a barrel on yeast. And that then gives this particular wine that more sort of textured, longer, richer kind of flavour that you get towards the end.
How much is it?
£16.50.
I mean, so that's a reasonably priced. Actually, I feel like kind of,
That's pretty decent, actually. For a wine with this much complexity and a wine with this much length and flavour, I'd be all over this. I think this is a rocking wine and works really well with grilled chicken, barbecued food, that kind of thing.
Will it get better the longer I leave it? I mean, will the complexity emerge?
It'll get better longer in the glass. So, by another half an hour or an hour, it would sort of open
a
up.
Proper glass, if they found a wine glass.
Proper glass, yeah, exactly.
Ryan.
Goodness me. Moving right along. So I think a very versatile with food, with wines like this, because you've got the texture, because you've got the richness and flavour. I think this can work really well with a lot of barbecue food. Everyone's having barbecues this weekend, so why not?
So there's a sharpness to it, but there's definitely kind of a range of flavours that I'm picking up.
There is a sharpness. That sort of fresh acidity comes through on the finish, which is great. And that lifts it. When you've got wines that are quite big in flavour, you need that acidity and freshness to carry through.
Let's move on to our second wine, please.
We'll move on to the second wine.
I think that's pretty good value, I've got to say. I'm glad
that's
you
pretty good
that.
value. Well, if you're up for value, the next wine, I think, is a really exciting one for you as well.
I'm always up for value. What's this called?
So this is a wine from Tibble Vino.
More Georgian wine.
More Georgian wine. So this particular wine is from Georgia as well. This is Tibble Vino. It's a Qvevri wine. We'll talk about Qvevri in just a few moments. But this is from the Kakheti region of Georgia. And this particular wine is what they call an orange wine. And it's £10 and it's from Marks and Spencer's. Now let's do that again. Now, this particular wine is a little bit different. And what they do is they put the wine in a qvevri, which is very Georgian. It's a very typical Georgian thing. And now a lot of these natural winemakers all around the world are now getting hold of qvevris and aging their wines in qvevris. That's that face again, isn't it?
Face.
That's that face.
I can't help it. I can't pretend. I've tried. I don't have. I've got no. I've got a terrible face.
No,
That's why I
it's
kept
good.
losing jury trials.
It's very expressive, that face.
It's
which
an
is,
expressive face. So shall I be smelling oranges?
So you should be smelling oranges. You should be smelling pear and spice, and probably even quince as well. Maybe even a little bit of white pepper on the finish, perhaps. This particular wine has spent some time in a qvevri, in these clay pots, and it's aged for months in clay pots. But what they do is they also leave the wine in contact with the skins for longer. Now, what you're tasting there is tannin. That's probably a little bit red winey sort of tannin
sort of
flavour.
like what you might describe as paint stripper chic.
Okay, yes, potentially.
Yeah. How much is this?
As you say, there's no wrong answers when it comes to wine tasting.
Yeah, but I can feel you wanting there to be a wrong answer. Actually, it's not bad. The first wine, if somebody brought that, I'd say it's a lovely, summery kind of wine.
A lot
complex.
cleaner.
Yeah, and it feels like you've got a little bang for your buck. This feels...
There's a lot more complexity in this wine, so I'll say
Really?
that. Simply because of the time that it's spent in the qvevri clay pots.
Well, I've been learning something every day, see? It's the waft has started to affect things. Not least that I want to go on holiday to Tbilisi, and perhaps Chris and I'll end up going together. Now, we're going to take a short break now. We're going to be back with more wine on Wine Down Friday. I don't really like this, but it's free, so I'm going to be finishing it anyway. I'm Rob Rinder, here having a delightful afternoon on Talk Radio and Talk Radio TV with a brilliant Christopher. Come back. Cheers. Na zdrowie.
Across the UK, afternoons with Rob Rinder on Talk Radio.
Welcome back. It's Rob Rinder. I'm here on Talk Radio in for Ian Collins till 4 o'clock. Mark Dolan is going to be here from 4 p.m. But between now and then, I am what's called getting paid to live my best life, because it is wine o'clock and I'm sitting here with the brilliant, delightful, enthusiastic, generous and knowledgeable Christopher Cooper, who's a wine presenter and director of Drinkonomics Productions, and he's still with me. I can't believe he's agreed to stay after my comments on the second wine he gave me. The first wine was good. Chris, what are we tasting next?
Well, we've got wine number 3 is a very exciting wine. This is from a company called Chateau Svanidze. And Chateau Svanidze are a wine company that are up and coming and just doing a little bit more here in the UK at the moment.
So we're still in Georgia. Just people need to know, Georgia is the place that we're staying in, yes?
We're still in Georgia, that's right.
Okay. Georgia, the country, not the state in America.
That's right.
That seems to be really getting on its feet when it comes to wine, even though they've had a long, long history. You can buy this stuff in, well, not just specialist suppliers, but now in supermarkets as well.
Beginning to see Georgian wines being filtered through into major supermarkets, such as the Marks and Spencer's one that we tried, the second one, which wasn't your favourite.
No, it certainly wasn't. But,
so this third one right here, this one is available. This is £34.90, so we're going up in price a little. And I thought I'd bring you a little bit of luxury on your Friday afternoon.
I'm just saying, you see, to the management here, the more you spend, the more complex and fragrant the thing.
And this particular wine is available from Mama Nashi, which is Mama Nasha, which is a Russian supermarket based in Bethnal Green and Greenwich, and Unique Organique in Stoke Newington.
This is right. So we would say in Russian, don't worry, if you're listening, anybody, I'm not a Russian spy. We would say this is очень хорошо.
Wow.
This is really, really good. Yeah, I am posh. I speak Russian. Deal with it. Hang on.
So this one is really good, and obviously they've spent a lot more time and effort on this particular wine. Obviously it goes to show in the price, but with that price you're looking at 100% of the Krakuna grape variety, and what you're getting here is a lot more sort of ripe fruits, herbal flavours, banana. You're getting a lot of citrus fruit coming through, but it's balanced with a nice acidity on the finish.
We have had a wine epiphany moment.
Here we go. That's a good face. We like this face.
Yourself. You know, the horrors of that paint stripper that you can buy because, what do they say, it's no ordinary wine. This, I have to tell you, when you said banana, I actually tasted banana.
Boom, it goes right in there, doesn't it?
He's not even lying or making it up or being pretentious. He's brilliant. There's banana in this. Pause for a second. I need a moment. You say na zdrowie. Это очень хорошо. Я хочу пить. I want to drink.
Na zdrowie.
Yeah, okay.
But it's a lovely textured wine, and it has depth and strength and length on it.
And you can tell it's sort of dead posh. There's also a sort of thick thickness to it. You might have a viscosity.
That's correct.
Which seems to kind of give it a richness that you sort of, you know what you buy. 20 quid more, and you get a bit of something more happy to swallow. Don't you?
And that's the thing, Georgia has quite a strength in depth of different styles and flavours, but equally they make really good quality wines as well as some of the more entry-level style wines as well.
What's the name of the shop?
You would be able to buy this one from Mama Nasha.
Mama Nasha. So we would say это хороших магазинов. It's a very good shop where you can buy this wine. And how much is it again?
$34.90.
It's a bit pricey.
It's a bit pricey.
So you could give it as a present, I suppose.
You could.
How do you? Are they online as well?
They are. I believe they are online as well. But
can you do me a deal? Get me a case for cheap because I'm famous.
I'm sure I could organise something for you. Absolutely.
This is so good.
It's so good. But this is imported into the UK by my good friends at Gardabani Wines, and so they are looking at doing more business and getting more restaurant listings and all that.
Get them in touch with me. I'm in with this one. It's fantastic. Little bit pricey. A little bit, but I genuinely feel if they told me this was the wine and that's how much it cost, I would think yes, that's about right. This is fun.
Do you know what? Get a load of other wines, and you can get these ones as your special
you
ones.
Have finally, apparently we've got to go to the final wine, but I mean, what can I tell you? Christopher Cooper peaked too early. It happens with men all the time. What's the final wine? Hang on.
So the final wine is.
This is a dessert wine.
Well, one would think.
It smells like one. It smells very sweet.
It's a lot more richness going in there, and it's obviously. I thought we'd best finish on the slightly sweeter one because if you have something sweeter earlier, then the other ones taste still of the sort of the sweetness and all the rest of it. So we thought
we'd having a Snickers before a big steak.
Well, exactly. One wouldn't do that.
Right. Okay.
So this is a wine from the Ascanelli brothers. And they make some seriously good quality wines in the Kakheti region. This is their Musa Qvevri wine. So again, another one of those wines that spent time in the Qvevri,
which is the
clay pots.
The metal clay. Sorry, the clay pot.
The clay pots. They're normally dug in the ground, and it regulates temperature and that sort of thing. We've got another phase going here. So we're looking at a blend of lots of different grape varieties, and they have finished this wine in oak barrels at the end, which was what gives it that sort of richer textured colour that you're looking at.
Oh yes, it does have a certain sample quality. I'm sort of going to wondering what
quality.
Well, I'm looking at it, wondering what's going to happen and what's wrong with my kidneys. To be honest, it does have that sort of look. You must admit.
It does have a little bit of that going on.
Yeah.
Okay. However, if that tasted like this, then I would be a bit surprised.
No, it's nice.
No, it really is.
So that last wine, which was posh and fantastic.
Yes.
I'm so glad you're working with them. You're going to put me in touch.
Well, I'm so glad you like the most expensive one as well.
Of course I like the most expensive one. You've met me. Can't be a surprise to anybody. But this one...
Yeah.
How much is this again?
You would be looking at $21.99, and equally from Mama Nasha and Unique Organic as well.
It's organic. Okay, so help us out, because we see this in the supermarket. What is an organic wine? Is it some sort of, posh thing that we shouldn't care about, or does it really make a difference to the taste? Should we care about organic wine?
I think it matters in terms of whether you care about where your wine comes from and your impact upon the planet and all of those sorts of things. Obviously, organic doesn't have any sort of pesticides, herbicides, anything like that on the vineyards, and they wouldn't have had for a number of years before that as well.
Aren't all the posh wines organic anyway?
No.
Really?
No. There's
Petrus and the ones that like 5,000 quid and all of that they're not organic.
Quite, yes.
Well, who knew? I'm going to go organic from now on.
Oh, right. Well, there we are. But there's levels of organicness, shall we say. I mean, obviously you've got organic, and then you do biodynamic as well. And then you have natural wines and minimal intervention and many other terms that people are using these days. This is a bit more complex, and this is a bit more richer, I would say. I think potentially
complex.
I would say potentially this is much more of a food wine rather than a sampling on a Friday afternoon.
What, you might
guzzling.
eat the food and don't drink the wine?
No. You need to eat some food with this wine to actually sort of balance it out. Perhaps.
I worry about the word complex. It's like when you see someone in a terrible dress and you're struggling for an adjective, and you find yourself going, "Goodness me, madam, don't you look energetic?"
Yes,
but I have to tell you.
I always think complex is just busy in the mouth. There's lots going on.
I couldn't think of other words, but I have to tell you, Christopher, even though I haven't liked 3, you only need to win 1. And boy, have you made a bullseye.
We have struck gold with that one.
Fan-freaking-tastic. I have to say, I've had the loveliest time. Christopher Cooper, who is a delight, wine presenter and director of Drinkonomics Productions, for joining me. Thank you very much. It's been a lovely wind-down Friday. This Friday I've had the best time. And in fact, I've had a wonderful week. Now, from 7 p.m. on Talk Radio and Talk Radio TV tonight, it's Kevin O'Sullivan. But the wonderfully suave Mark Dolan is here from 4 o'clock. And that's me for this week. I've been in for Ian Collins this week, and Ian is back on Monday. Thank you to all you listeners. Thank you to Talk Radio and Talk Radio TV. And as we say in Russia, Nostrovia, Prost, L'chaim, cheers to you all. It's been a fantastic few days. Thank you very much.